So one day at the recording studio, I walk in, and there's a cassette sitting on the music board. And it's the cassette that changed my life. The cassette was by an artist, a rap pioneer named Dana Dane. Dana was a Brooklyn-born artist. His first album was one of my favorite albums, and this was an advanced copy in the late 80s that nobody had, sitting there. I wanted to listen to it, so I asked the engineer if I could borrow the cassette, and I would bring the cassette back after I listened to it. He said, sure. A couple of days later, I'm on my way to Los Angeles to visit a friend. I'm listening to it in my Sony Walkman, if anyone remembers those. Sony Walkman, yeah. And when I'm on the plane, I read that the owner of Delicious Vinyl's favorite artist, this is a big label, Tone Loc and Young, his favorite artist is Dana Dane. So when I land in California, I cold called Delicious Vinyl. I get all the way up to the assistant of this guy. She has no idea what I'm talking about. I'm talking very fast like a New Yorker. I have Dana's tape. I know Mike's a fan of Dana. Blah, 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 blah. She puts me on hold. She comes back 2 minutes later and she says, Dana, if you can be here at 2 o'clock, Mike Ross would love to meet you. Dana will be there at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock comes. Now, Dana's a Brooklyn-born guy, like I said, African-American, gold tooth. Not me. I pushed now a good friend of mine, though. Push the button. I said, hey, I'm Dana here from Mike Ross. Oh, Mike is expecting you, Dana. Come right in. I walk in. They escort me into the office. Loc's record, Young's record. He's got this funky candle going. They sit me down. I'm sitting there. I'm waiting. No idea what's going to happen. In walks Mike Ross and says to me, not as politely, who in the world are you? There's a famous quote by Harry Truman. If you can't convince them, confuse them. It works so far. So I start saying, oh, I work at the same studio as Dana. I know you're a fan of Dana. He must be late. He has an advanced tape. Blah, 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 blah. Can I put in my cassette that I did at Dana's studio? You have a cassette? What do you do? I rap. Huh? Put it in. Put in my cassette, and he says the 4 words that every artist, struggling artist, wants to hear. Who's your lawyer? I don't have a lawyer. I have a dad. So I give him my dad's number. My dad owns a plumbing supply house in Mineola. I call my father when we leave. I said, Dad, I think I just got a record deal. If someone calls you, we got our foot in the door. We're going to figure the rest out later. Get all the documents. That started a journey of getting my foot in the door and figuring it out later. A key thing in creativity, starting the process, trusting the process, and letting it evolve. Because if you don't get your foot in the door, if you don't start, nothing happens. I decided to invite the 10 most influential people in music to my house for dinner. I knew 2 of them, and they all came. And the takeaway for me, the connectivity between what these guys did in their creative world and as entrepreneurs and in my journey was this. These guys had no prior experience, neither did I, in anything that they did. In the music business, I had no prior experience in Marquis Jet or Zico or anything that I did. And for a lot of people, that's a deterrent. I got a dream. I want to open a restaurant. I want to start an apparel company. I want to go run a marathon, whatever it is. I can't do that. I have no background in being a restaurateur or an apparel. And they don't do it out of fear. But it's actually the biggest blessing because it guaranteed us with no prior experience that we would do things differently, that we would be a brownie because no one taught us how to do it. I always say to my employees, if no one taught you how to do your job, how would you do it? And it's amazing how many creative ideas come from that instead of being told over and over, this is how you sell, this is how you pitch. Forget that. How would you do it? Not everybody has the same skill set. How would you do it if nobody taught you how to do it? The second thing is these guys, these artists were young. They had no time to be scared. They had no time to be scared. Now, fear is a really powerful thing. But when you surrender and say, I'm not scared of fear, it's unbelievably liberating. You can be incredibly productive, incredibly creative, incredibly free when you take control of your time. When you figure out how you want to attack your time over the course of a week. I'm going to leave you guys with this one thought. I have a saying I think to myself every day. It's that I didn't come this far to only come this far. Creativity has no limits. We're not like a limited amount that we're going to use up. When you do something, you check the box and move on. Do the next thing. We don't live in the past. Create a life resume. Do as many things that you can do, that you want to do, and check the box and do the next thing. Declutter.